Hello and welcome to Springvale Seventh-day Adventist Church. We're glad that you have joined us. We hope you enjoy the following message.
Happy Sabbath. Well, it's nice to see many of you. I didn't expect so many members to be present today because it's the holiday time, is it? But I see that there are so many of you, and I'm so happy about that. And I've been to this church for many years, could be 8 or 9 years. And I used to be here, but recently I didn't come here because I was busy with the 3 churches back in Werribee and the city, and then the Burmese church in St. Albans there. That's why I'm here only after some months. Well, I'm so happy to see Tari here. Tari, but where's Carl? Okay, that's right, yeah. And I see many of you, and I'm so happy. And also, I know the other lady here, Phoebe. Phoebe is a newcomer from Burma, and Phoebe is the sister of Blossom, our deaconess. And well, we are so happy to see them. And I think that this church is growing. I don't know anyone except Helena. The rest, I don't know you. I've never seen you before. Well, anyway, it's good. Okay, we are so happy to see you here, and this church is our church. Well, anyway, I came here with my wife here, Nan. She is from Werribee Korean Church. She's a pastor there, and I'm a retiree. She's the pastor there. And, well, we are happy to be here. And in the afternoon there in Rainwood Church that she has to preach there in the afternoon. We have another congregation there, and together we'll go and worship there, and she'll preach over there. Well, thank you very much. And oh, thank you. Well, I want to tell you that in 2 days, we'll be in 2008. In 2 days. Happy New Year. Well, the title of my sermon is Our Brief Life. Our life is brief. 70 years, it says here. But don't worry. Actually, it's 120 years is the maximum, the age is there. Well, let me take out this thing. Our brief life. See there? And the key text is Psalms 90 verse 10. You just read it out there. The days of our years are 70, 70 years. If by reason of strength they are 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off, and we fly away. But I'm proving that 70 and 80 years is not the age that we are going to die. The maximum is 120. 120 years. If we listen to the Bible, if we listen to God's word. First, let's read about the books that Moses wrote. The books that Moses wrote were the Pentateuch. Pentateuch is the 5 books about the Israelites there. The Israelites going to Canaan there. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and also Job. And today we are going to study Psalms 90. Psalms, we have 150 chapters. Out of 150 chapters, Psalms 90 is the one written by Moses. Written by Moses. You just look in the Bible there, and it says there, and it says that a prayer of Moses, the man of God. The prayer of Moses, the man of God. It's a prayer of Moses. Well, we are going to another one. That's the life of Moses. Moses said, we are going to live 70 years or even 80 there. But Moses was 720 years old when he died. He lived 40 years in Egyptian palace. That includes the first few years with his family, his own parents, brothers and sisters, Israelites. Then he learned much of Egyptian education, especially as a prince of Egyptian monarchy. For 40 years. As we all know, he fled to Media to his uncle Jethro. He became a shepherd, married Jethro's daughter. Then God called him up to go back to Egypt to free the Israelites. He was, at this time, 80 years old. He refused at first. He was later convinced that God was to be with him. His brother Aaron too. For 40 years in the wilderness with all the rebellious Israelites, 600,000 of them. You saw the Passover. The Israelites crossed the Red Sea and many others. 40 years in the wilderness. Altogether, his age was 120 years. Moses was 120 years old when he died. Deuteronomy chapter 34 verse 7 said, and Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. Friends, you heard about it. He died at 120 years old. His ear was not, his eye was not dim, and his natural force abated. Still very strong. Still very strong. 120 years. Then Moses lived 120 years. Just as I read there, Deuteronomy 34 verse 7. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. Well, let's see what's been here. You see, I did a little bit of research whether we can live 120 years. Because Moses said Moses was 120 years old when he died. So let's see whether with our modern time, in the modern time, is there anyone who is 120 years old? Well, I found it in the form of Jean Louis Calment. Jewish, number one, Jean Louis Calment from France. 122 years and 164 days. See? And well, I didn't think she would be that high, she would have been that old. Lost my paper. Well, it's here. As we have said, Psalm 90 is Moses' praise to God. He prayed, and after 120 years he died. And I'm talking about Jean Louise Kelman now, in the modern time there now, but she died recently. She is 122 years, 164 days. And that was rather a long time. Long time, isn't it? And the second person is from Russia, a man. His name is Magomed Labrazanov. He was 122 years. And Ms. Zhao Ukawa from Japan, 117 years. Yes, 17 years. And two Australians. Christina Cook, 114 years old, and Beatrice Mears from Australia, also 113 years and 274 days. And we have one from the United States, Adelaide Dunlop, 113 years and 130 days. And Gladys Hooper from the UK, 113 years. Well, we have many centenarians, and these are the super centenarians. And we will see that many people age are as much as 110, over 110. And Jean Louise Kelman is the oldest with 122 years and 164 days. Well, we can see that Moses was right. We can live 120 years. He lived 120 years, and right now, during our days, we have those who lived up to 120 days. How did he live for 120 days? For 120 days, he lived 120 days because he listened to what God had him to do. In the Bible, we have Bible texts, the things that we should do that we may be, our age may be long, having longevity. That's why we can live on for up to 120 years. I got so many people there. That's okay. Well, let's go to the next one. Now, we are going to talk about the Psalms 90, teachings and messages from Psalms 90. And as I told you there, we have Psalms 90, under there it's written, a prayer of Moses, the man of God. It's a prayer. These Bible texts are a prayer. And we can see in Psalms 90, verse 19. Actually, Psalms 90, we have 17 verses altogether. Altogether, 17 verses. And out of 17 verses there. We just read how people will live for 70 years only. But as I truly know, Moses lived up to 120 years, and Jean Louis Cullman lived up to 122 years and 164 days, which means that we could live that much if we listen to what God told us to do, how the Bible says. And Psalms 91 to 9. Psalms 91 to 9 says, this is too many periods. I'm mixed up there. Well, it's all about creation. Psalms 91 to 9 is all about all the God's creations and mankind and how powerful is our God. And Psalms 90 verse 1 says, Psalm 90 verse 1 says, Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. That's verse 1. How God was our creator. And 2, before the mountains were brought forth, or even thou hast formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. He is explaining how God is so powerful. And 4, for 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it is past, and as a watch at the night. 1,000 years is nothing to God. God was powerful. God was great. God was omnipotent. God was omniscient and omnipresent. He is the King of kings, Lord of lords, creator of the whole universe. And then we come to verse 10. The days of our years are 70, that's 70. And if by reason of strength they be four score years, 4 score years is 80. And in their strength, labor and sorrow, for it's soon cut off, and we fly away. In this way, when we are 70 years old, we are supposed to end up our life there, and also at 80 years old. Well, this was because of Adam and Eve, because they sinned, and our age is only about 70 and 80. But if we listen to the Bible, then we can live up to 120 years. 120 years. And when we read over Psalms 90 from 11 to 17 there, it tells us how Moses continued to pray to God for, he's asking for three things. He was asking for three things. The first thing was wisdom from God. The second one is joy and gladness. And the third one is glory and beauty. Three things he was asking from God, from the 7 verses in Psalms 90. Well, for wisdom, Psalms 90 verse 12 says, "So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom." Friends, we need wisdom from God for longevity. What are they? The three things that I told you now. Wisdom. Second one is joy and gladness, and third is glory and beauty. Let's talk about wisdom first. Food from the Bible. If we eat the food from the Bible, as instructed by the Bible, then we can live 120 years. Genesis 1 verse 29 says, "And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be meat." Friend, we have to eat seeds, herbs, fruits, and the natural food, not meats from animals. That's why we have vegetarians. We should be vegetarians. And the second thing is that from we have in the Bible the clean and unclean food. Clean and unclean food. We find it in Leviticus 11 verses 1 to 47. Leviticus 13:1 to 47. Those are the things that we should avoid. Deuteronomy 14 verses 1 to 23. Deuteronomy 14 verse 3 says, "Thou shalt not eat any abominable thing." Thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. Yeah. And eat any abominable thing. And that thing is the writings from Ellen G. White. Ellen G. White wrote many books, like Ministry of Healing, his medical ministry, Counsel on Diet and Food, Counsel on Health, and all those things. And one of the most popular one is New Start. New Start. Yes, for wisdom, yeah. These are all the wisdom. And most of the Adventists know what is New Started. N is for nutrition, E is for exercise, W is for water, S is for sunlight, T is for temperance, A is for fresh air, R is for rest, and T is for trust in God. Those 8 things that we need to do in our life. Because of vegetarianism, our Adventists are supposed to be vegetarians, and in Loma Linda University there, we have a club by the name of 90-plus year club. These people are all over 90 years old. They are all vegetarians, Adventists. And this is because they are vegetarians and they are doing things according to what the Bible tells us to do. That's why the Bible also says in Proverbs 3:13 there, happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. And James 1:5 also said, if any one of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given unto you. Friends, you have some wisdom now, so that I have just told you that we can live 120 years by listening to the writings of the Bible. And that's for wisdom. And the second one is Moses asked from God is for joy and gladness. If we have joy and gladness in our heart, this is what it says in Psalms 90 verses 14 and 15. It says, oh, satisfy us early with thy mercy, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. Make us glad according to the days wherein thou hast afflicted us, and the years wherein we have been evil. Oh, satisfy us early with thy mercy, that we may rejoice, that we may be happy and be glad of all our days. We must be having joy and having gladness in our heart. Rejoice and be glad. Make us glad. All these words are for us that we should be to remember. Proverbs 17 verse 22 says, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine. You have to be happy. But a broken spirit drieth the bones. We have to be careful with that. And Proverbs 3 verses 7 and 8 says, be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. We have to fear the Lord. We have to be, that we must be for God. Listen to what he says through the Bible. And Exodus 20 verse 12 also says, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Even in the 10 Commandments we can see that for our longevity, we have to honor our father and our mother. And even Nehemiah chapter 8 verse 10 says, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. The joy of the Lord is our strength. That's for joy and gladness. And the third one is for glory and beauty. Moses asked for glory and beauty from God because, just as I told you, Psalms 90 is a prayer by Moses to God. And for glory and beauty, Psalms 16 and 17 there, we can read it there. It says, let thy works appear unto thy servants, and thy glory unto their children. God's glory, God's beauty. And verse 17 said, let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us. Let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us. Moses prays for beauty from God. Only God has beauty and glory. We do not have all these qualities, especially when we grow old. I am 78 years old. I got wrinkles in the face and everywhere. That's why Moses prays for beauty. I want to read from an essay I got from a friend. It says, nobody grows old merely by a number of years. We grow old by deserting our ideals. Years may wrinkle the skin, but to give up enthusiasm wrinkles the soul. Worry, fear, self-distrust bows the heart and turns the spirit back to dust. Whether 60 or 16, there is in every human's heart the lure of wonder, the unfailing childlike appetite of what's next, and the joy of the game of living. In the center of your heart and my heart, there is a wireless station. So long as it receives messages of beauty, hope, cheer, courage, and power from man and from the infinite God, so long are you young. When the ears are down and your spirits are covered with snows of cynicism and the eyes of pessimism, then you are grown old, even at 20. But as long as your ears are up to catch waves of optimism, there's hope you may die young at 80, 90, or even 100. Friends, in conclusion, I would like to tell you that in 2 days, we'll be in the year 2018. Life is short. We need New Year resolutions. New Year resolutions. We should live a life like Christ, as 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21 teaches us. It says that we should follow his steps. 1 Peter 2:21 says, we should follow his steps. To prepare for his kingdom, we should live a life full with wisdom, as Proverbs 3:13 and James 1:5 say. Proverbs 3:13 says, happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. James 1:5 says, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally. To possess healthy and happy life, we should practice 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18, which says, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, and in everything give thanks. May God bless every one of you.
Thank you for joining us. For more information, messages, upcoming events and sermons, please look at our website on www.springvale-adventist.org.au.